I'm Alan Dale from Gale Force Winds. It's an absolute pleasure to be here at Day 2 of Maritech 2024. Beautiful St. John's, Newfoundland. Great conversations happening. A lot of youth in the room right now, walking around, checking out what's happening in the marine sector. Craig, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us what you do.
Yeah, my name is Craig Tulk. On the SNAME side of things, I'm the Functional Vice President for Knowledge Management, and I work for a company called SSI, where I'm a business analyst.
Talk to me a little bit about that SNAME role. What exactly does that mean?
Well, one of the main goals of SNAME is to advance the knowledge of marine architecture or marine engineering and naval architecture. Knowledge management is a big portion of that. So under knowledge management, we look after the textbooks that SNAME produces, which most naval architects, marine engineers reference at some point in their university careers. We look after journals and publications for SNAME. So anytime people produce a scientific paper that's related to the marine industry that gets published in our journals, we help look after those sorts of things. Keep all that information archived and available so members can access it.
Technology moving fast right now, a lot of new ideas, new concepts. Yes. Certainly in every sector, marine sector is not untouched by this, right?
Right.
Knowledge management with technology moving like it is that a complicated business?
It is actually. The way that people consume information these days and access information is changing quite rapidly. We're in the process right now through SNAME of trying to change how we produce and archive that information to make it more accessible. People want digital, people want electronic, people want it now. And traditionally our journals were published in paper or by PDFs and things of that nature. So we're slowly moving that more towards a more digital environment, if you will, like so many things in the world.
Yeah, for sure. Talk to me about on the professional side, your SSI. Talk to me about what you guys do there.
Yeah, so SSI is most famous for producing a shipbuilding software product called Ship Constructor, which is used by all phases of design of a vessel. Most importantly, it's focused heavily on the production aspect of the design of a vessel. So basically, we create a 3D model of the ship, a digital 3D twin. And that digital 3D twin, as the model or as the design of the vessel increases, the level of detail increases, and that level of detail can then be pushed out into production drawings, down to fabricators, so that they can actually build the ship with assurance. The 3D modeling side of it helps the designers and the engineers feel better about what they've actually created. So that's changing rapidly as well, the way that people manage those assets. Traditionally, people focused on where the money was, and the money was in the construction side of the industry. So right now, these digital assets are starting to be pushed further and further into the initial design stages of the vessel and carried on all the way through to the build of the vessel and after the vessel is even commissioned and on the water. So they want to reutilize these 3D digital assets to maintain the ship, do maintenance on the ship, train people how to operate the ship.
Craig, you've got a great lens on it, both from an association point of view and being right in the industry as well. Are you excited about the marine sector in Canada at the moment?
Yeah, the marine sector in Canada is going through a huge resurgence. We had a period for a number of years where there wasn't a lot of activity, particularly around the design and building of new vessels. The Canadian Navy and the Canadian Coast Guard suffered through that period, and that's reinvigorating the industry. But of course, with that reinvigoration, there was a loss of knowledge from the past, where there weren't a lot of people in Canada that were actively designing and building ships. And those that were and were trained by Marine Institute and Memorial and places like this ended up usually going in other parts of the world to ply their trade. So a lot of those people, thankfully, are coming back into Canada and coming back into these shipbuilding programs.
Yeah, they weren't lost. They were out doing it somewhere else. They were out doing
other things, exactly. Right.
Now bringing that experience back into the conversation. And it's so important, right? I mean, as you say, this whole revitalization of sort of that government fleet, Navy, Coast Guard, and the like. It's very exciting.
It is very exciting. And there's, as we'll say, you know, offshore oil and gas has been sort of peaked out in the past few years. A lot of people that were in the offshore oil and gas industry that were working on projects like Hibernia and these sorts of things are coming back into the ship design and shipbuilding industry as well.
I tell you, I've been really enjoying the conversations about technology advancement and everything, digitization, electrification,
Yes.
all of these words that are being used around here. It really makes it, for a young person looking at this sector right now, or even somebody who's in transition, maybe an underrepresented group or whatever, this is a pretty vibrant sector and an inclusive group as well.
It is, yeah, and it's a vibrant time. One thing about digital technologies is that most younger people right now that are coming into universities, they want to use digital assets. They're not used to doing things the old school way. And companies like SSI try to promote and help with that as well. And you need that to really attract people. And with that attraction also comes a change in the way that people process and use information and reutilize information. So there's a lot of trends around this. You'll hear, digital twins is a big buzzword. So that excites younger people to get into the industry. And when I first got involved with this about 15 years ago, I was a bit surprised because I was sort of trained to do 3D modeling in a more modern way than what the shipbuilding industry was doing. And I always questioned, why am I taking these 2D drawings and then turning them into a 3D model and then getting the 2D drawings updated to match the model and so on. So there's a nuance of change that's occurring, a paradigm shift that's occurring in the shipbuilding industry that's probably lagging some other industries, but we're quickly catching up.
Good. Really appreciate your lens on things, and I appreciate you being on the show.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen, for having me.